Hey, Daryl. Oh, we're starting with movie quotes. Is that what we're starting with? Good to see you. Let's see how many viewers we get today. Daryl, I had like 28,000 views yesterday, which was crazy. I think my high, like, concurrent viewers was over 300. That's a first. And if I didn't have to cut the stream short because I was a little late, yeah, it was a really good. I absolutely hate cutting off a stream with 200 and some viewers. But it was a really good day yesterday. So some of the folks on the stream yesterday asked me about embassies. Oh, there were no embassies on the tour yesterday. So I had one more early day at work. This week I won't be able to do any more live streams during weeknights this week. But usually I don't do two, so this is a bonus. And I'm beating the rain. I'm trying to get out before the rain comes. Hey Pete, how are you? So we'll see how far I get before the downpour. Wasn't supposed to start until late tonight, but it's getting really windy and cloudy here. We're taking a look here at the Grant House, named after that Grant. But actually, this was the house of the son of Ulysses S. Grant. And it looks more magnificent in the morning when the sun is hitting it from the east. We're facing west right now. We'll work our way around the circle. This circle, my stream on July 4th, that was the day that I did this tour. Hey there. Was on July 4th of this year. It was early in the morning and it was magnificent. These buildings still look nice, but not entirely as beautiful as they do with bright sun and a blue sky. You get a little teeny tiny peak of a blue sky over there on the left of this building. We're at Logan Circle, as you might be able to see from the street sign. This is in Northwest Washington, D.C. It's the convergence of Vermont Avenue, Rhode Island Avenue, 13th Street, a couple other avenues. It's a great big circle. But this is one of the showstoppers. There are a few showstoppers on this circle, and we'll take a look. Well, we'll just take a peek at the circle itself, named after John Logan, who, in addition to all of his acclaimed political and military career, he was a huge promoter of residential development in Washington, D.C. Who knew that that was a thing way back in the 1800s? But it was. And so he developed this area of Washington, D.C. With grand residences mixed in with smaller residences. So we'll take a look at that. We'll work our way around the circle. Hey Fox, nice to see you. Wow, yesterday's stream was a record breaker, Fox. It was pretty wild. Now I'm walking, this is not a sidewalk. There are holes here, so I'm gonna take my time walking here. Take a little gaze back at the Grant house. Not Ulysses S. Grant, but his son lived in this house here on Logan Circle. And we'll just walk around. And then after we take in Logan Circle, we'll head down Rhode Island Avenue and go to see those embassies that folks yesterday requested. Because yesterday, although we saw so many great examples of architecture, we did not see any embassies where we were yesterday. And here's another grand one on the corner. This is actually a relatively new construction, made to look a little older than it is. But it fits here on this circle. Oh, it's getting really windy. So I apologize. I apologize if the audio starts to get bad because of the wind. And when the rain comes down, well, we'll have to run. We'll have to run. These are later residences. This is the, what is this? The south, I'll call this the southeast quadrant of the traffic circle. But when we get around to this northern part, the northern arc of the circle, you're going to see some absolute gems. And we'll take a look. Oh, he's going after a squirrel. Dog going after a squirrel. Take a look at the statue of John Logan astride his horse. Not sure the name of that horse. I know some of my horses. I know Ulysses S. Grant's horse was Cincinnati. And I know that General Lee's horse was Traveler. Some of these have some interesting features around the windows. And there are also acorns just dropping from these trees. I got hit in the head the other day. I'm trying to keep my hand on top of my head right now while I'm under these trees. Now this is a good shot of this one. When I'm here early in the morning, if the light is bright, actually the sun would be behind this building, so I wouldn't get such a good view. So this time of day is a better view for this corner unit. That is quite lovely. We could continue on Rhode Island Avenue here and be in Maryland quite soon. Rhode Island converges with Maryland Route 1, or actually US Route 1. In College Park, Maryland, it's Baltimore Avenue, and then as you get closer to Baltimore, it's Washington Street. And then when you get past Baltimore, it's Bel Air Road, and on and on and on. The name changes to designate the city you're heading toward. These townhomes, we were talking yesterday about, someone mentioned like, wow, they're quite tall. The townhomes in this part of Washington, Northwest Washington, D.C., yeah, while some of them were narrow, they're actually, 4 stories high when you count the ground floor or the basement, as we would call it. Some are 5 stories tall. And here, lovingly preserved, painted different colors, which is always a bonus. This is a really busy traffic circle, so I'm going to be extra careful crossing the street. But I do have a treat across the street. Thank you, Daryl. In this part of Washington, especially on these traffic circles, always cross with the light. Do always cross with the light. This is not within walking distance of the monuments and the memorials. Woo, this dude just blew right by. Compared to some of the other places we've been, this is one where you'd have to take the metro or park closer here. And there is residential parking here. Just always check the signs to make sure it's not a no-go time for parking. Rush hours. Headed out of the city, you don't want to be on that side. You'll get towed. And they are not shy about towing cars here. Not at all. Now, we're still in government shutdown. So what can you do in Washington, D.C. during shutdown? Well, you can go for a walk and check out beautiful monuments and memorials. There are still some museums open. The Smithsonian museums, some of them are still open. Check the websites. I love these doors. I like the railing on this one. But do check the websites first. Some museums do have funding for a little bit longer. You'll see to the left of this door that round medallion that designates this home as a conservation easement. So before doing any improvements on these homes, sometimes approval has to be gotten, and there are many, many, many rules to follow. But all to preserve this beautiful architecture. You get a peek of the bay windows just over this hedge here. be super careful crossing here. Okay. Now this is a monster here. This was originally built as a multi-unit building. Not a grand mansion there. All throughout Washington, D.C. Really helpful signs. And there are different trails throughout Washington, D.C. and the surrounding area. Oh, sorry about that, Fox. I should have stayed longer. Yeah, because the light is really bad. I'm probably going to have foggy, pixely images today because there is no sunlight. But I did want to share, oops, I'm probably not in a good area. So those signs all throughout Washington, D.C., really helpful signs, and heritage trails everywhere you go. I hope the signal holds out. It looks like I've got a terrible signal right now. This is the former Korean legation to the United States. The predecessor of an embassy is a legation. And this building and its companion next door are designated historical landmarks here in Washington, D.C. Hi, how are you? And this one is absolutely beautiful. It's even more beautiful when there is a blue sky behind that beautiful white flag of South Korea. We'll get a little closer here. It looks like my signal got a little bit better. We'll get a little closer here to take a look at some of the detail on this one. Thank you, Daryl. All right, now these guys went right through a red light again. They just go through red lights. Oh, looks like I have a terrible signal again. Korean legation building. I'm gonna have to move quickly so I don't lose anyone. This block is a gem. Oh, and I see some construction going on. This block has such a mix of beautiful structures. We're gonna take a close look. Daryl, I hope the signal isn't going in and out. Hello, Patricia. Nice to see you again. Hi. So on this block on the corner, that former Korean legation building, which is beautiful. This one here, number 14, Logan Circle. This one reminds me of our typical banks. It's got that scroll work above the transom and that green tile roof. Next door, number 12, Logan Circle, a 5-story with skylight. I don't know if you can see the skylights on the top floor. I can see them through the window. But that's a 5-story magnificent townhome. Possible cones, could be. Daryl, we're always on the lookout. Oh, I have a terrible signal. I'm sorry if this is pixely. This one, number 12, is one of my favorites. I like the detail around the windows. Like the second sash on each window has those square stained glass panels. Oh, great, Daryl, thank you. Those square stained glass panels are just fantastic. And we'll take just another look back. Because this block of townhomes, and I'm sorry it's a cloudy day, but on a beautiful sunny day, this block is amazing. Now, I'm on a very hilly place here, right next to a busy street. So I'm gonna go super slow. Hi, nice guy. Nice to see you. Not superior. And here's number 9. Another 5-story with that really interesting bow window in the front, bow bay. Number 8 has Roman numerals over the door, VII. just a 4-story there. But I really like the variety. These are not cookie cutter townhomes. Each one is an individual construction. And this is a tall 5-story here. A complete 5-story, not just a kind of a simple attic. And you probably can't see the one next to it. That's a 5-story plus. It has a little teeny tiny cupola at the top. And unfortunately, that one's covered for renovation. It was uncovered during my July 4th video. So check that out if you want to see all the beautiful ironwork and the beautiful green stone or green painted stone. That one's covered. Now this one here, this is the Logan house. This is the house that John Logan occupied, number 4. I think I said DuPont Circle earlier, and I'm sorry, this is Logan Circle. If I've said DuPont Circle, please forgive me. This is Logan Circle, and that is the John Logan house. We'll take a closer look at the side of the building with its beautiful porches. Another look back at John Logan through the trees here. But I'm going to get out of this zone here because the signal is pretty awful here. So I'm going to move a little quickly so we can take a look at the John Logan house. We'll actually stay in the safety zone for a minute so we can admire those porches, which is a very southern affect of this architecture. But here it stands, and kind of looking back at the block that we just passed. Tyler, I said I was going to do street food. I didn't say today. I said I needed to have somebody with me. Probably bring my dad when I do the street food. So hi Tyler, it's nice to see you. Hello Lim. But I think this is a picture postcard view here, especially in landscape view instead of the vertical. This little row of houses here on Logan Circle in Northwest Washington, D.C. Now we're going to take a walk and get to a better signal. That's 3 stories in Germany, but oh, I know. So Fox, I get you. And I try to like say ground floor versus first floor, but here the ground floor is the first floor and the first floor that you go up to is the second floor. And another look back here at the Grant house, the home of Ulysses S. Grant's son. And that's where we started our little walk around the circle. So we still have some roses blooming right now. We haven't had a frost yet or anything. Fox, just keep spitting those facts. I love that. I love that. We haven't had a frost. In fact, it's 80 degrees here today. It's quite warm. This is really warm for October. Look, as soon as I'm off the traffic circle, 5 bars. Chris, I'm at Logan Circle in Northwest Washington, D.C. And we took a little residential walking tour, but now we're going to head towards some embassies. So who told me I was supposed to do street food? Tyler. So Tyler, I also promised yesterday that in a future stream we would hit those embassies because some folks were asking me, where are the embassies? We're going to go see some embassies now. So no street food, but we're heading toward the embassies. Here's another beautiful big mansion here on the corner. This is Rhode Island Avenue. Got the gas lamps. I love the gas lamps. Hi, Emmanuel. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. And we'll just take a look side to side across this beautiful residential street and we'll head toward some embassies down on good old Massachusetts Avenue. And you can peek through the trees here. This is quintessential late 18th century. I'm sorry, try again. Late 19th century. I always do that. Late 19th century Washington, D.C. And this is where the politicians the business owners, government leaders, all built their beautiful, beautiful homes to show off their wealth. Now, this area was not as impacted as when we get down to Massachusetts Avenue. This area was not as impacted by the Depression as those great big huge mansions were, because you can imagine the bigger the house, the harder it is to maintain when you've lost your fortune. So this area, not as impacted. You'd find multiple families in these homes though at some point. And today, many of these have been carved up into flats, into apartments. Definitely some construction going on here with the little backhoe in the front yard. How did that fit? Wow. Okay. That's a squeeze. I like this one. Look at that monumental gate in front of the front door. You think those are fake? Lawn ornaments, maybe. Could be. I'm always amazed that palm trees live here. I'm always amazed. Yesterday or 2 days ago, we saw a cactus. I think it was Sunday, we saw cacti. But this is such a lovely little yard. Okay, I'm walking backwards. That is not safe. This is a lovely little yard. Looking up, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4-story for this one with beautiful wrought iron work around the railings. Now you look at this block and you might think, wow, that's kind of typical New York, right? The brownstones with the basement, sorry to say, the basement entrances under the steps in the front, and the many steps going up to the, what we would call first floor. Sorry, guys. Hi, Happy Pap. No, Washington, D.C. This is not VR. This is real life. This is Washington, D.C. This is Logan Circle. And it's, I'm sorry, it is dreary. We're waiting for rain. But we're walking through the Logan Circle area, and we're heading down to check out some embassies because I was requested to walk around some embassies. Now this one, as you can imagine, is purpose-built as a multi-tenant building. So this was purpose-built late 1800s or early 1900s as apartments. Right here, next to this quite simple but absolutely elegant and beautiful townhome next to it. This is one of those parts of Washington, D.C. with a brick sidewalk, so be super careful when walking through Washington and other cities. Cobblestones and bricks, they'll be the death of you. And me too. So if you just see the camera go flying, you'll know what happened. I tripped. But this block here, this is Rhode Island Avenue. This is one of the more cookie cutter blocks. So we can imagine that these houses were all built at the same time. Although they are slightly different, they are also very much the same. They all have the same general setback from the sidewalk, the same general window design and front door design. Although there is some variation, these were built together at the same time. But these across the way, there's a lot more variation here. And again, this multi-resident unit here, the Rockingham today. Now I mentioned that Rhode Island Avenue. I mentioned that Logan Circle is at the convergence of Rhode Island Avenue, Vermont Avenue, 13th Street, some other streets, but we're heading west to a very vibrant part of Washington, D.C., 14th Street. This is quite a big one. Little boxy for me, but quite beautiful. I mean, look at that courtyard. You could park a car here. There is not a way to do that, but you could. Back in the day, you could park your carriage there, if that was what you were doing. A lot of people with dogs in this neighborhood. I know, the view's getting hard because of the lack of sunlight. Hi, Yahia, nice to see you. Hi, Gary. Nice to see you. Now we're headed, we're right here on 14th Street, and we've gone from beautiful, at one time, quiet residential area on a very busy street to a very busy street. This is the Barrel House, place to hang out after work. Come to get your beer and your eats, as the sign says. All right, I was wondering how long it would be before I got bit by a mosquito. I've been bit by a mosquito already. Gosh darn it, not even on a cloudy day. 14th Street. You can walk up and down 14th Street and be quite entertained at what you see. And I'll just leave it at that. But lots of shops here, lots of food. Head up that way and you'll be near Howard University. Head down that way and you'll be in the main business district in Washington, D.C. But all up and down 14th Street. Lots to do and see. And we'll just take a quick gander and cross the street fast. Down here on 14th Street is Thomas Circle. So we left Logan Circle. Down that way is Thomas Circle. And now we're headed to Scott Circle. So in Washington, D.C., the streets going east to west, I know you're all tired of me saying this. The streets going east to west are letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. The streets that go north and south are numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 14. There are traffic circles scattered around. And there are circular roadways around some of the important places, like the U.S. Capitol, for example. Connecting those circular places diagonally are the streets named for the states. So Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New York, Indiana, Nebraska, Maryland. Could go on and on and on. And that's kind of the code key for navigating Washington, D.C. You can't get lost. It's a grid. If you're supposed to be on 17th Street and you find yourself on 19th Street, turn around and go back to, or go forward to, depending on which direction you're facing. Johnny, hey! Hello, Lim. Lim, it's Washington, D.C. This is Washington, D.C. Hey, a local. Hey, Ms. V. So yesterday, I think a few of you were on my chat yesterday, and I met so many new people, and so many folks said, hey, you're walking around and I don't see any embassies. We're going to see embassies in a minute. But we're also going to come by this relatively unobtrusive apartment building that has a really nice 1940s-ish style to it, which I like. This is not Art Deco. I don't know what it is, but I like it. Okay, and these folks on bikes, they're not supposed to be on the sidewalks, just saying. There are bike lanes in the street. Hey, Big Erm! Yes, Big Erm, we're doing the embassies. We're doing it now. I promised yesterday. Although Tyler thinks I promised the food trucks today. And I do apologize. That's going to be a future stream because I got to bring somebody else to actually do the eating. But if we see free pizza again today, I'm definitely taking it. Because I was starving yesterday. Now there's one that needs a little tender loving care across the street. I don't think I'd want to be this close to 14th Street though. This is way too busy for my perfect residence. Well, thank you, Ms. V. I appreciate it. I know, right? The DMV. Hey, Dennis. The DMV is an amazing place. Besides the fact that there's tons of jobs here. Whether you work for the government or work for a contractor or one of the many universities in this area or the amazing healthcare systems like Johns Hopkins or University of Maryland Medical System, there are jobs. So it's a beautiful place and a beautiful place to walk. And here's another apartment building. Another purpose-built apartment building. This is the Willison, as you can see. I love these urns. There aren't enough urns around. I think I need that for my house. I think I need not this big, but I need some urns. You can see we're getting the breeze today, so hopefully we'll see some flags. We did see the flag of South Korea over at the South Korean legation building, so that was nice. But we do want to see a few more flags today with this beautiful breeze. These obviously are modern. Now I'm hoping the traffic stops just for a second so I can actually walk into the street and get a good view of the building across the way. So I'm keeping my eye on the traffic. Okay, maybe I can do this and be super safe. But I just wanted to get a glimpse of this artwork here on the front of the Viceroy Hotel. Obviously modern, kind of cute. Yeah, the car variety too. Where were we where we saw that really old pickup truck recently? I can't remember where we were, but there was a beautiful old like bright blue pickup truck that had been restored. Fox, yeah, I would invite you to come on over and I'll point out and you can do the eating. This one is the Zenith condominiums. Another more modern renovation here on Rhode Island Avenue. Look at these lovely, all of these buildings are set back from this street. Rhode Island Avenue is a main street. It is a main artery into Maryland. It turns into Route 1, takes you all the way to the University of Maryland, all the way through the state of Maryland, and eventually all the way up to Maine. This is a beauty. If late art were here, she would definitely compliment this wrought iron railing. Like me, she likes a good railing. A wrought iron railing. And then another apartment building. And we've got the gardens are still going here. We're gonna keep walking. Even if I feel a little spot of rain, we'll keep walking until the lens gets fogged up. This one has these beautiful, I keep saying beautiful, I need a better word. These balconies here. This is just called 1441 Northwest Rhode Island Avenue. I don't think it has a name. And just beautiful garden here. Again, in some of the busiest parts of the city, you'll find, I know. Hi, locked and loaded, hello. Now, I'm gonna pick up the pace a little bit because we do need to get to some embassies before it rains. But this little one, I've always admired this. It just stands by itself. It just stands by itself. Now, I always wonder when I see one of those, I always wonder if like this part of the block was sold for development, but there was one holdout. Like one family said, heck no, I'm not selling. Because that's what this looks like. When we take our next visit to Baltimore, I'll show you a couple of houses that actually dramatically impeded the building of huge skyscrapers where little corners are cut out of the skyscraper because one person refused to sell. And that might be the case here. But it's a beautiful little home. This is cottage looking. This is my little Rhode Island Avenue cottage. It's wider than a townhome, And there is a plaque up there. Let's see what it says. It says, this is the National Society I can't see. All right, I'm gonna have to go up the steps. United States Daughters of 1812. Oh, I could join that one. I have an ancestor that fought in 1812. All right, we're gonna have to work on that. And next door, this building as well. Daughters of 1812. I'm still working on my DAR application as well. I have one problem. I mean, I know I have ancestors who fought in like every war, but my revolutionary ancestor, he's a little bit elusive. There are many people with the same name and I can't quite find which one was him. Hi, Daryl. Daryl, to each his own. Whatever you like. Whatever you like. All right, we're coming closer to Scott's Circle. And the wind is really picking up. And our first embassy. Okay, everyone. Hello, Canal. Hello, David. Nice to see you. Alrighty, our first embassy is the Embassy of Hungary. Now, there are multiple buildings that are part of the Embassy of Hungary. And this one is here, right at Scott Circle in Northwest Washington, D.C. There's another part of the Embassy of Hungary up near Rock Creek Park. And I have a video on that somewhere in all my shorts. But we'll get closer. We'll admire some of these flags. And we'll see how many embassies we can hit today. Hi, City Walk We Outside. Love that. Love that. Always keeping, and there's the Washington Monument, if you can see it really fast down there. Kind of hard to see. Always keeping my eye out for the cyclists who sometimes just don't care, and the sirens who obviously do care. Hi, Sharon. Nice to see you. Woo, that was fast. We're in Washington, D.C. We're heading into a storm. Hotels across the way, that's the Darcy, but we're here to see some embassies. This is Rhode Island Avenue and Scott Circle, and this is one part of the Embassy of Hungary. And we can get a really good view of the flags there and the security cameras. We'll get to peek through the fence in just a second. Ooh, I got something in my eye. Ooh, that always happens. And I'm trying to take a peek. You can't quite see. Ooh, there's an event going on. Ooh. Okay. There is a statue. It says Budapest, 1956. Awesome, Voltaire. Nice to meet you. Oh, used to live in Adams Morgan. That is an amazing place. Really cool clubs and restaurants, and a fantastic view here of the front of the Embassy of Hungary. Wow. Okay, let's see a little peek in the door. There's a chandelier. I'm loving the chandeliers. Okay, there's definitely an event going on here tonight. The security here, maybe the ambassador is here. If you're in and around Washington, D.C., the International Club has events at many embassies, and you get to go into the embassies and have dinner and listen to music and learn about the culture and the history. The most recent one I've attended was at the Embassy of Indonesia, and that was a blast. It was the music, it was the food, it was a fashion show. Indonesian fashion is unreal. And then in May is the annual Embassy's open house. And many of the embassies of the EU participate in the open house, and you can tour inside the embassies. We'll just get a look back here at this side of the Embassy of Hungary. It's hard to get a better view because of the way these fences are. Like, you have to be straight on, but then once you look that way, can't get a view. We'll try to get another view back here, but we will also visit right here, 1 block south on Massachusetts Avenue, is the Embassy of Tunisia. So we'll check that out in just a sec. One more quick peek back here at the Embassy of Hungary. Countries that you wouldn't think have a major presence in DC have some of the nicest embassies. They do. How do you sign up? You go to the website, literally Google International Club Washington DC, and you get on their mailing list. That's it. There's no fee. There's a fee for the events. There's no fee to join the club and find out about all the events. So I've met so many awesome people at these events too. People of all ages. Here comes the rain. People of all ages. A lot of folks who travel here from other countries want to go to international club events to meet people from other countries who are in the United States. Students participate. It's really, that's another mosquito. My goodness. All right, let's start to get a look here at the Embassy of Tunisia. Of course, now the breeze stops. Don't get a view of the flag. That's all right. When we come back, maybe we'll get a view of the flag. Now the gates are closed. I have been here when this gate was open, and I was able to get all the way up and take a look at that tile work at the front door. The Embassy of the Republic of Tunisia. Little lions. I think technically there are more lions in Washington, D.C. We've done our little elephant safari. I think the elephants are more interesting than the lions. So we are looking east on Massachusetts Avenue, and way in the distance there you can see Thomas Circle, what we were looking at from around the corner. And yeah, you can tell that this embassy was purpose-built as an embassy. This is not an embassy that occupies a beautiful old mansion. This embassy was built as an embassy. Currently homing the Embassy of Tunisia here in Washington, D.C. Hi there. Everyone's so friendly. Now, how many times have I said that an embassy is my favorite embassy? We are about to encounter my favorite embassy. It's my favorite embassy in the beautiful morning sun, because this building ahead of us, which is the Embassy of Australia, and I have done a full edited video on the history of the Embassy of Australia. When you see the sun hitting the glass and those coppery beams, it is magnificent. We like the Aussies. Not a political channel. So everyone is welcome here. Everyone is welcome to share really polite opinions, but not a political channel. What time is it here? It is 6:05 p.m. 6:05 p.m. And this is Scott Circle. One of the, I guess, first big grand circles in Washington, D.C. And it was in the 1940s that the underpass was built. So from north to south, 16th Street goes under Scott Circle here. And there, I have some pictures on my video of the cars in the 1940s driving around the circle. If you can imagine the beautiful morning sun hitting that building with the glass and the copper colored, I don't think it's copper proper. It's not copper proper because there's no patina. This same circle is always where I almost get hit. Like, people don't even give me a minute to get across the street. But here, this building, this Art Deco beauty. So in the picture that I have from the 1940s, this building is here. And you can see the beautiful glass block and that Art Deco awning at the entranceway. But here, I will dwell for quite a while here on the Embassy of Australia. Because, again, imagine a blue sky. Imagine this building absolutely brilliant with the morning sun hitting it and that Australian flag. It's pretty cool. Hi, Elizabeth. I think you should come to Washington, D.C. And I hope you do. And I hope you take time, visit all the monuments, visit all the memorials, do all that cool stuff. But also just get out and wander and walk, particularly around these big, beautiful streets, but also in the that's not me. He wasn't beeping at me that time. These beautiful, the beautiful residential areas that we sometimes visit too. There's good old General Winfield Scott. What is he looking at? Well, I'll show you what he's looking at. We'll cross over when it is safe so to do, because as you can see, these people drive like maniacs here. All right, I'm taking my chances here. We'll get a really close view of this embassy, and we'll walk around and see some of the artwork around this embassy. But I'm going to hold the camera super still. Here's that underpass I was talking about. This is 16th Street. And if you know the address, stop. If you know the address of the White House, you know that it is 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. So General Scott is looking at the White House. And if I hold the camera really still, you'll be able to see the White House in the distance. So you can see General Scott. It's about, I don't know, 6 blocks, probably 6 blocks down there is the White House. No one knows how to do traffic circles here. And we've been to the White House a bunch of times. We'll be there again. We will be there again sometime soon. There are a few embassies up this street, but we're not going to get there today. 16th Street has quite a few. We're going to stay on Massachusetts Avenue today. Go down a block or two before the skies really open up. Hi, Daniel in Arizona. Really nice to meet you. But yeah, this is a nice view. Anybody is from Australia, this is an awesome view. That's a goodly sized flag. A little bit worn. We were looking last weekend at how many flags had been recently replaced. Ernesto, I have no idea what you're talking about, but no politics here. Let's take a look at some of the artwork. So if you visit this area around the embassy, so this is, and in my video I go into the whole history of the Embassy of Australia. The original Embassy of Australia was located closer to the National Cathedral, and it was located on Cleveland Avenue or Cleveland Road. And then when our relationship with Australia got, more important and our economic trade required more of a presence of our Australian friends here, they purchased this corner of land here, which is 1601 or 1601 Massachusetts Avenue, and they built a purpose-built embassy here that was just a big block, just a big glass and concrete block. And I show pictures of it in my video. And then they outgrew that facility. They closed that one down. They moved to temporary quarters and built this beautiful building from the ground up. But they kept this artwork. I think this one was at the original embassy. It's quite beautiful. I'm not sure who the ambassador is now. It was Kevin Rudd, who had, I think, previously been your Prime Minister of Australia. Don't know who the ambassador is today, I'm sorry to say. Hi, Sean. Yes, this is live. This is not Memorex. This is live. I always feel like this camera is crooked. So around the side of this embassy on the 16th Street side. Now, I'm not going to be rude and peer the camera close to the windows, but you can walk on the other side of this fence. So you can walk right up to the door and come around right next to the building on the other side of the fence. But I'm going to stay on this side for now. We'll take a look at the artwork. Oh, Holocron. That was extra nice of you. I appreciate it. And the thumbnail to that video is this piece of art here. This beautiful piece of art is my thumbnail. Yeah. What's my favorite country? Okay, next to the United States, of course. My favorite country is the UK. I do love the British. I do, and I love visiting there. Now this piece of art, it's a sort of a geode cut in two, and what faces the building is this great big huge mirror, which I am not going to film today because then I would be in this great big huge mirror. And that's not why we're here. And then this little buddy here, this little beautiful orange piece here. I don't know, this sculpture garden just lends a little interest here. Hi, Sophia. I am in Washington, D.C., walking down Massachusetts Avenue, checking out some embassies. We just visited Logan Circle to look at some beautiful residences. And now, because yesterday during my live stream, I promised that today, or at my next stream, I would do embassies. So, I am. Serbia. Embassy of Serbia. Right there in that beautiful townhome. And I believe, I don't want to say the wrong one, I think it's Kazakhstan. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't read. I definitely can't read the sign, but I think the flag is Kazakhstan there. So I hope I'm correct there. Yeah. Where is Embassy Row? Sean, you have asked the correct question. Massachusetts Avenue is known as Embassy Row. And it's because Massachusetts Avenue was Millionaire's Row back in the early days, the Gilded Age. All the wealthy families who wanted to have homes in New York and Newport. They also wanted homes in Washington, D.C. to exert their political influence. And so this street right up here that we're heading up to was filled with Gilded Age mansions. And then the Depression hit. And when the Depression hit, some of the families decided, well, I don't need a home in Washington. You know, I want to keep my home in Newport, obviously. I want to keep my home in New York. I want to keep my home at the homestead. Maybe I own a coal company, so I've got to keep my home in Pennsylvania, where the coal mines are. But I can get rid of my Washington residence. And so some of the mansions no longer exist. Some of them fell into disrepair. Some of them were occupied by private clubs, like the Cosmos Club. And we saw earlier the Daughters of the War of 1812. And then some of them, many of them, were occupied by foreign nations. As the United States was growing, it was important, and we were headed into, or in between, 2 world wars during the Depression. At that point in time, it was really important for nations to have a presence in Washington, D.C. Now, this is not one of those grand Gilded Age mansions, of course. This was just built a few years ago. But there are many all the way down Massachusetts Avenue. We're only going to see a few today because we could spend all day, and I have spent all day, walking from here all the way to Wisconsin Avenue, where the National Cathedral is, and just counting and ticking off all of the beautiful mansions that are now occupied by foreign missions. So we've seen Serbia, we've seen Kazakhstan, we've seen Australia, and now we're going to take a look at the Philippines right across the street. Now the first few are newer construction. So bear with me, we'll get to the more grand mansions soon. Oh hey, this fountain is never on. I think I say that every time I see a fountain. When we were at the Navy Memorial yesterday, the fountain was on. It's usually not on. This fountain's usually not on either. If you came here, would I walk you around? Oh, what were you saying about DuPont? Sean, was somebody saying something about DuPont? DuPont Circle? Tudor architecture. There is some Tudor architecture around. Yes. I like fountains. All right, I feel this storm is just heading our way. So we're going to pick up the pace. This is the newer Embassy of the Philippines right across the way here. I actually like the building. It's modern architecture, but I don't mind it at all. Oh, I passed a Tudor. Sean, I'm so sorry. How did I do that? We saw one yesterday. That was rather surprising. It was mixed in with some more contemporary architecture. So that's the newer Embassy of the Philippines. This is the historic Embassy of the Philippines, and we'll get right up here and take a little looky at some of the information here. This serves as a backup embassy. Sometimes there are, passport services and some other special services over here. So this is still part of the Embassy of the Philippines. But you can get a look here and see that this is definitely a much older. Georgetown does have Tudor. Yes, it does. So this is Philippines. And right across the street, Philippines. Now we're going to head into a stretch of embassies. Okay, they do have a little walking area. This construction here at the Johns Hopkins University satellite campus has been going on well over a year. And on Saturday morning, they will have huge cranes blocking the street here, doing whatever it is they're doing to the roof on this building. But again, you can imagine on a brilliant, beautiful Saturday morning that these buildings look a little different, especially the flags. The flags look great. Cones, Daryl. All kinds of construction material here for you, Daryl. Get another little look back at the Embassy of the Philippines. It's pretty big. It's quite big. All right, so this is what it's going to be. Office and residential. Okay. What do you know? 157 thoughtfully designed residences. I don't know. It's just a big old office building. But, I mean, everybody wants to live here. This is the place to be. Anywhere here, down to DuPont Circle and around the circle, up to Calorama. I would want to be here. Now this one on the corner, oh, that's an unfair look at this one. Let me try to get across the street. Embassy of Peru is on the corner here, but I'm gonna get a better view of it once I can cross the street safely. Because the Embassy of Peru has a relatively new flag, which I noticed on Saturday, because it had been faded for a while. All the scooter people. So do people live in these embassy buildings? No, not in the official embassy chanceries. But some of these smaller, well, and some of the grander former mansions are now residences of the ambassadors. And they're usually marked, so we get to know who those are. But check that out. That's a really good view. That's the Embassy of Peru here on Massachusetts Avenue and 17th Street. And that's a brand new flag. Oh yeah, Georgetown is fantastic. Hi Doreen, nice to see you. I apologize to anyone I don't get to see in chat. I'm sorry, I have to keep my eye more on the traffic than on the chat. So if I don't say hi, I'm so sorry. Just ping me and remind me how rude I'm being. We do love a flag. Actually, there's an Eddie Izzard skit about that. Do you have a flag? Do you have a flag? And we're back to Art Deco. As you can see, this one here on the corner with a beautiful driveway. Massachusetts Avenue is a grand boulevard for sure. Now across the way, these two buildings, this kind of, I don't know what we want to call that, orangey brick next to the darker brick. This is the Embassy of Trinidad and Tobago. And there's little bunting over there. There must have been some sort of event happening at Trinidad and Tobago. How cute. Embassy of Trinidad and Tobago. Is that flag? No, we don't have a French flag here. We got Peru on the corner and Trinidad and Tobago next door. But wait, there's more. We'll just gawk at the Art Deco on our way. The Bay State apartments or condos, not sure. As we work our way to the Embassy of Colombia. Now, amid all these lovely former historic residences, we do have new construction. The Embassy of Colombia is new-ish compared to others. It fits. It does fit. Tiny islands that they buy. Yeah, so here's what happens. Some people think like, and I've gotten these questions like, why does the United States pay for countries that they don't? The countries that home themselves in these beautiful residences, not only they have to pay for the residence, they also have to pay for the upkeep compliant with all the rules that attach to historic residences. So that's kind of cool. Now, I'm drawing a blank. Is this Chile? Seriously, what flag is that? It's Chile, right? I'm thinking it is. I'm gonna be really rude. It's gonna be really rude if I'm wrong. I can't cross the street right now. There's no place to cross. Be very dangerous here to cross the street. We'll come back down the other side. so I don't have to be so rude. It is chilly. Okay. Excellent. And there's a police or fire call box across the way too that we'll take a really quick look at once we get to a place where we can cross. There's one more embassy in our immediate sight, and that's going to be the Embassy of Uzbekistan. And boy, I like their flag. I like blue and green together. And so the Embassy of Uzbekistan, the federal district is DC. Yeah, so long story. So Washington, DC formed officially in 1790. It was 2/3 of Washington, DC was formed out of part of Maryland. And with one of those components being Georgetown, the other component being, I don't know, we just call it Washington. And then the third component across the Potomac River is Alexandria, Virginia. Well, not too long after that, Alexandria decided, you know what, we really don't want to be part of Washington, the District of Columbia. So it, what's called, retroceded itself back to Virginia. So what's left technically is Washington and Georgetown, but it's the District of Columbia. It's DC. So Washington is DC. DC is Washington. It just is. But if you're in Georgetown, you can also say you're in Georgetown. Georgetown is more than a neighborhood of Washington, D.C. You know, it's its own town, its own city within a city. This beauty here, this beautiful French-inspired with the mansard roof and that lovely blue and green flag. That's the Embassy of Uzbekistan here on Massachusetts Avenue. It has those balconies that I love. It has a really grand doorway. It has all the windows open. It's a hot day today. Windows are open up there. Hey, Ben. Ben, we're on Mass Avenue again, and we're looking at the Embassy of Uzbekistan. Because folks on the stream last night asked me to do embassies. So I'm doing embassies today. Why is the Pentagon's address Washington, D.C.? I do not know. Because it's in Pentagon City, New Virginia. It's in Pentagon City, Virginia. What on earth am I saying? Pentagon is in Pentagon City, Virginia, not New Virginia. Good grief. I'm in some dystopian novel right now. I shouldn't say it, but we haven't gotten rained on, which is pretty amazing. If I would continue west, we would be at DuPont Circle. The problem with DuPont Circle is I lose signal the minute I cross the street. The minute I cross 18th Street, I always lose the signal. So we're not going to do that. We'll come back down and get a look from this direction. I hope everyone is having a great day. Hi from Neuss again. Brian, is that Austria or Germany? Neuss. I got my new mouse. Yay, Ben. Glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. We've got quite a breeze tonight. We're waiting for the skies to open up. As you can tell, this is not one of those beautiful sunshiny evenings. This is dark and cloudy, and it is ready to just pour. Hello, Michael. Nice to meet you. Does Germany have... Sophia, Germany has more than an embassy. It has an entire complex. So the embassies of the United Kingdom, Germany, France, and Japan, and probably a few others, have these huge complexes. Germany has multiple buildings. We visited there on a prior stream off of Foxhall Road, way in the tippy edge of Northwest, almost in Maryland, in Northwest Washington, D.C. And you can walk from the Embassy of Germany to the Embassy of France. They're very close. And they often do events together. The Netherlands. Oh, we passed by that one too. Last Saturday, we actually started our tour at the residence of the ambassador from the Netherlands, which is up near Sheridan Circle. And then the Embassy of the Netherlands. Earlier during this stream, when we walked past the Embassy of Hungary and I said there was another one near Rock Creek, the Embassy of the Netherlands is also near Rock Creek. So up there you have Hungary, the Netherlands, and Czechia, if I'm saying that correctly. Not within walking distance of here, though. We're back to that embassy. Now the lights are on, so we can get a different look at some of these buildings. And this is a new one, Embassy of Colombia. This is part of the Embassy of Colombia. There's another one closer to DuPont Circle. So some embassies have multiple buildings. The embassy is everything. It's the foreign mission. And some buildings have the passport office or the chancery or some other offices. And then the residence is a separate building. And they're usually all marked. And a lot of them are in these beautiful, beautiful buildings. You got your German passport at the embassy. Cool. Oh, Harold. Very nice to meet you. Wow, it's late there. It's 6:30 here on the East Coast of the United States. Oops. I still keep feeling this phone is crooked. Maybe that's a little better. Back to the Embassy of Peru. We'll take a look at that Embassy of Australia from the other side of the traffic circle. Once we can cross safely. Thank you all for joining me. Appreciate it. I didn't just like last night, I didn't plan to stream. I thought it was going to be raining. But when I'm in Washington, it's better for me not to leave for home until like 6:30, 7 o'clock to avoid the traffic. So even in a government shutdown, as you can see, there's still traffic. There's still business happening in Washington, D.C. And there are things you can do if you happen to be here during a shutdown and maybe the museum you wanted to visit is closed, but take a walk. Is this real or AI? I am all real, Buster 02. And when I'm writing, excuse me, when I'm writing, I always put, nowadays I have to put like not generated by AI when I'm writing things for work or for my hobbies. That's a really good view. Embajada de Peru. I do apologize for that poor accent. Hey, HRDNPIZ. Yeah, it is, because it's really safe here. Super safe here. Last night I was on 7th Street. Couldn't have done that years ago. Could not have just taken a stroll down 7th Street like that in that area a few years ago. Back to the Embassy of the Philippines. Not a political channel, HR, but I have worked here. Yes, the Czech Republic, maybe. I'm not sure. I've worked here a lot of years, and it's really safe now. It really is. I mean, and we've had periods of it being safe, and we've had periods where it has been horrible. The last 3, 4, 5 years, really bad. Now, not so bad. It's good. But across my entire living and working in and around Washington, D.C., it's not bad. I'm from Baltimore, so I know bad. Uh-oh, audio's getting rough. Oopsie, sorry about that. Is Ollie's Trolley still there? Yeah, it's I think it's called Old Time Trolley. It's called Old Time Trolley now. It's called Old Time Trolley now. Last night's twilight was quite beautiful. All the lights came up on the buildings. That very last building that we looked at, the Riggs Bank, was just magnificent. All the street lamps came on. There's a street lamp that just came on. Speaking of a street lamp that just came on, and a different view of that Embassy of Australia. Oh, thank you, Daryl. Who knows? You'd think there'd be a more reliable signal. There are just certain parts of Washington I cannot stream from, and I wish I could. Like some of the best places around DuPont Circle. That DuPont Circle Farmers Market, which is amazing, definitely can't stream from there. Lose the signal there every single time. And I'm gonna keep talking until this guy with the music goes by me because copyright. And that was a Michael Jackson song, and you will get claimed instantly for a Michael Jackson song. Daniel Webster. Just here. Some more of DC's finest. Hi, Penny. You are looking at Washington, D.C. You are looking at the Embassy of Australia, to be exact, in Washington, D.C. Here on Massachusetts Avenue and 16th Street in Northwest. Nice to see you, Penny. Yeah, there's always trash cans, Daryl. Better than having trash on the street, though. Yeah, this is one of my favorites, Penny. And it's beautiful in the morning when the sun hits the glass on this building. It's amazing. It really is. But twilight is a good time to be here. I'm gonna go cross back over to where I came from whence I came. And we're gonna see if we can get a really good final view down 16th Street. Now it feels like it's not gonna rain. I shouldn't have said that. I should not have said that. Because now I am pretty far from my car. Oh my gosh, another mosquito on me. I cannot. That one hurt. It is constant in this city, and it is. Washington, D.C. truly was built on a swamp, right? It is a swamp. It was a swamp. There are rivers running under it. There are always mosquitoes. And no matter how much you spray, it does not matter. And that one really got me. Ow, unless that was a bee. Okay, I'm going to stop whining. Another look back there. All right, we're going to carefully walk across this street and hopefully get a really beautiful view. We are on 16th Street. That means that we are directly north of the White House. And if I hold the camera super duper still, in a distance, right at the end of this street, you can see the White House. And you can see the Washington Monument peeking out over to the left of the White House. I would like to thank everyone for joining me on this little journey tonight. No more live streams this week on weeknights. Probably my next live stream will be Saturday morning, and I might be in a small town. So we may be playing small town bingo on Saturday or Sunday morning. We have to see what the weather holds for us. But you'll definitely see me on Saturday on Stasis Geeks channel for Film Club. Our film this week is Brotherhood of the Wolf. So you have some time to watch the film. It's also a book, but I didn't read the book this time. And then next week on Stasis Geeks channel, our film is Night at the Museum. Hello, Mohammed. Thank you so much. Hi, David from Brazil. That's fantastic. I wish everyone a fantastic rest of the week. We're almost halfway there. It's Tuesday. So tomorrow's Wednesday. Thank goodness. Hope everyone has a great day or a great night wherever you are in the world. Take care.